Before we get started tonight, ladies and gentlemen, another episode here on Fast Break. Sorry for a little delay, a little bit internet issues. But for the last 8 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports leaders around the country. All the while, we've been continuing to be by the fans, for the fans, and with your help, we're ready to take the next step. We go to our website, iesportsradio.com. You'll see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers. The first one starting at just $5 a month. This donation gets you all shout-outs on our 32 of our shows. Higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcast and university, even a chance to be a feature on a segment of our flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you all very much for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct for all that is sports. I want to shout out to our 4 Patreon members, Bay Area Rays, Marcus, Los, Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. Thank you for everyone for making our 8th anniversary special, and here's many more years to come. On to the show. On tonight's episode, here on Fast Break for IE Sports Radio, we discuss Ja Morant. Can this young, gifted, talented player for the Memphis Grizzlies turn his attitude around? Or will more bad things kind of happen with him running loose? Plus, the LeBron James, he's going to be out for several weeks. Can Anthony Davis carry this team to a playoff position? We'll discuss that. Plus, conference tournament week is already up and happening. What schools are on the chopping block on not making the NCAA tournament, and who needs a strong push this week? We'll discuss that and much more here on Fast Break live on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all sports, and you're welcome to join us. Join us as you shout tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Lots to talk about, lots to get into tonight. Lots to get, well, not a lot to talk about, but not a big story that's keep on trickling out about this one player in the NBA that's kind of really taking an ugly turn in a sense. D-Lock, how you doing tonight, sir?
Doing very good, man. I'm actually taking a tune into this Boston game, Boston, New York. The Knicks are putting their winning streak on up right now, going against Boston. This is a very interesting game, so all is going well.
Yeah, the Bucks got beat yesterday by the Sixers, which ended that long winning streak from Milwaukee. So the Knicks currently right now has the next longest winning streak in the NBA with 8 wins in a row. And nobody's really close to that except like for Denver, Phoenix, and Minnesota. And all that. But let's stay with the New York Knicks real quick and talk about the game for a hot second. If they're able to pull this off, and we can talk about the Knicks and get if they kind of touch and go with the lineups and stuff like that. But I think they seem to kind of find a lineup that kind of goes with them. And plus, trading for Josh Hart at the deadline helps things. How much momentum can this Knicks team build towards the playoff positioning, in your eyes?
me, with this winning streak that they have, they're starting to put things together. Now, one of the biggest things that that news that Jalen Brunson was not playing tonight, that played a huge part in them. But we expected not Jalen Brunson. We expected R.J. Barrett to step up, and he has. I believe he already has 14 points. Julius Randle, who's been playing outstanding recently, is doing a lot. So he has a lot of New York fans, including Stephen A. Smith, very, very happy. But I think that if they can get this win and continue this momentum, they could definitely possibly do some good, damage in the playoffs. I mean, we talked about it before for the longest. The Knicks have always been that team that struggled or had different issues going on, and right now they're starting to put things together, starting off with a win February 11th against Utah. And ever since then, they've just been stacking the W's, one being against the Boston Celtics. So they're trying to make this the second one against them in this stretch of winning games. So they are putting some great wins together. Now, what makes this winning streak very interesting also is that they're going to play the Lakers coming up in the next couple of weeks, in the next week. So we're going to see them, and we know what the Lakers are fighting for. But looking at Boston, having Charlotte, Sacramento coming up, they created this momentum. They have to continue to keep this momentum forward. I think that they could possibly do that, and if they can use this and go into the playoffs, maybe they can kind of put some wins together and possibly get to the next round. Trading for Josh Hart, I think that was a big piece for them as well. So hopefully, if this group can keep this chemistry going, maybe we'll see the Knicks actually do some type of damage in the playoffs.
I think they could do some damage too. I just think, it's Thibodeau going to wear them down to that point. That's the only concern I really have with the Knicks. Is like, is there a balance to them towards that stretch? And I kind of, Julius, when you brought about Julius Randle playing well and scoring very well, I agree with you. I just kind of wish he would rebound the ball a little more stronger, because he had like a 45-point game here not too long ago, and he only had 2 rebounds in that game. That's you can't allow that. If you're a 6'9" Julius Randle, and as strong as you are, you can't come out the game off only 2 rebounds. That's disgusting, in the sense, that you're this big man and you only get 2 rebounds. That's unexcusable. So right now, to kind of look at the box score, he has 10 points and no rebounds right now. That's not going to get it done if you try and make a run for the championship or something like that, or deep playoff run. You got to get in there and get those key rebounds at key points in key situations. If you playing right now, let's see where they're in the standings. They're 5th in the standings right now. They're playing Cleveland. They will play Cleveland in the series if the season ends today. All those big men that Cleveland have, Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley.
Yes.
You gotta get some rebounds against those dudes. If not, they'll control the game that way.
This is true.
So I'm just saying, Julius Randle, you gotta play stronger inside. You got to play stronger inside. I look at the Boston side of things. I think, they've been one of the more consistent teams all year. There's nothing really I could say else about them. I think, there's a key. I think there's a big game for Boston to win to kind of keep New York away, and down the stretch, you don't try to lose too many games to kind of get yourself in a position that you don't want to see the Knicks early in the playoffs. But, for Boston, Tatum already has 60 points right now. He's playing very well. She'd be in the MVP voting in my eyes. But we'll see how that goes. Um, for the bench for Boston, playing Muscula, Hauser, and Williams, the stretchability, the stretching of the court, that those guys bring keeps things flowing for the Celtics. So it's going to be a tight game. I think New York's got a lot of passion, to kind of keep this winning streak going. So we'll keep an eye on this game for the rest of the show. But D-Lock, we got to talk about one Ja Morant. Ja Morant, how can we been saying it? We've been talking about it for most of the year, been acting a fool this year. Acting a fool, not in a good light either. Ever since kind of late last year, this Memphis team, young as they are, and we talked about it, we praised them. Young as they are, there's some growing pains are going to happen. Well, this season, the growing pains kind of rear its ugly head despite the success. Almost to the point, I don't know if you probably agree with this or not, kind of look like the new Jailblazers in a sense. The way they acting. So, Ja Morant's been in the news. And where do we begin?
Yeah, this is not the best way you want to talk about somebody is having all these off the court issues. It's not something that is needed or wanted for anybody or franchise.
One story came out on Ja Morant, and this happened last summer. The gist of the story was Ja's mother was at the mall in Memphis. She was at a finish line. She gets into it with the young worker at the finish line. Now, according to the story, I don't know who she made the call first to, because D-Lock, if your mom and your dad still together, you probably call your husband if something going on like this. Now, maybe she couldn't get to her husband. She called Ja. Ja, with his crew, came up and was intimidating mall security, the young kid, all that type of stuff. Now, this incident went away. Memphis PD, I don't say swept it on the rug, but, they didn't charge Ja, all this stuff. All the charges got dropped, all that good stuff. So you had that incident going, that really kind of circulating the news here lately. Now we got, him, gun gesturing. We talked about earlier, I think a few weeks ago, that him and his people, having guns drawn, targets drawn at the Indiana Pacers people, where the bus pickups, all that stuff. We talked about that. Now here lately he's been doing gun gesturing like he's Gilbert Arenas. And then the coup de grace. He was on Instagram Live a couple nights ago. That Big Ed Fool, DJ Academics, the first person I saw with this, sitting there posting online with Ja Morant posing with the gun, all this stuff. And I think the NBA and the Grizzlies organization kind of had enough, and they told him to go away for a couple games. D-Lock, We know he's a talented player. What are your thoughts of all this stuff going on with Ja and other stuff? Like, what do you make? What sense do you make of it in your eyes?
Well, for me, uh, one thing that I realized now as a coach, as an older human being, and we talked about it before we were around the same age, me and you about 33, 34. So I have these conversations, right, with these college kids. Track and field is the sport that I coach, we talk about. But if it's not about that, we don't really have too much that we talk about as common. Like, we're kind of at two different parts of our lives. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot. I find myself teaching more than kind of just conversing with them at this time, because I'm telling you, they're saying things, and I'm like, well, yeah, but this is what you should do. This is how you should act. So in my mind, understanding that they have a young mind, a young way of thinking about things. The kids that I deal with, those athletes, they're around 20, around 19 and 23, 24. And I can just see how they act, the things that they do, the things they say, is more so of the immaturity or them becoming their own adults, being their own themselves. And for me, I say it to say I feel like this is a similar situation that Ja's in. Ja's 23.
Yeah.
Right? Adults around that age, those that listen also to our podcast, like, they are adults, yes. But there are things that I believe is great for every person around that age to have a mentor that's older. The reason why is because you talk to those who've been through different parts of life. They've dealt with different things. And I personally feel like John doesn't have that person around him on it a lot, a mentor. Because a lot of these things that he's doing, we have to realize a lot of these decisions that you make around this age and the things that you do, they can cost you your life. They can change your life completely. So for me, I feel like him getting help means he needs a mentor around him. A lot of people were saying, hey, well, you showed me the tweet that Paul Pierce said, I know what the kid is going through, and blah, 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 which is straight bullshit. Yeah, because at the end of the day, understand that you may understand what he's going through, but that doesn't mean you haven't said anything about him flashing it, on the social media. So for me, again, I feel like Ja Morant is in a situation where he just needs better people around him or others to consult him, the older adults that have experienced a lot. Sad to say, we see it a lot of adults around that age, specifically black men, we see them make decisions that cost them their life as far as, who they be around, or it changed their course of their life. The D tackle for Georgia, what's his name, Jalen Carter?
Yeah, Jalen Carter.
He's in a situation now where got the other football player's name that passed away. They, allegedly are racing each other, and because of that situation hurts. Somebody loses their life for that, and that's a decision that you cannot get back. So, for me, again, I think that Ja has. I actually watched a full game of him, I think, a couple of days ago, and I'm just looking. I'm like, this dude is special. Like, what I'm saying? I'm looking at like, this man is cold, But all it takes is for him to make one bad decision. One decision can change everything for him. Like, this is not, as we talked about, I think I said it to you before, I think I used the example. Like playing video games, right? We play a video game, Super Mario or something like that. We die and what we do? We press reset. We start over and try again. Some of these decisions that you make, you can't just reset. So, honestly, feel like some of these decisions that he makes, he needs to have wiser people around him and watch some of the decisions that he makes because, flashing a gun on social media, showing that you're having one, that's not the smartest thing to do. Just as a person, and just as a regular person, you are a professional ball player. This doesn't help anything at all. So for me, I'm just hoping that the people that are like mentors to him, they come and be real with him. We see it in many athletes make these decisions, but again, all it takes is one decision to change your life, not only your life but your family members' lives. Other people that might be around your lives. So there's many things that can happen. I think that if he gets the right person around him, they will tell him that, and hopefully that's something that he gets.
You brought up the mentor thing, and you brought the black men's subject and all that stuff. And one person who's pretty seen influential in Ja's life is his dad, Ja Morant. And if you've seen videos and stuff like that, he's always at the game, all that stuff. And you kind of like, okay, Ja doing all this stuff. Where's his daddy at? And, is daddy around and, like, is he not listening to him? Or is he scared to say something to him? Because Ja is, like, the main breadwinner now. I hate to say it like that. Gets, a man like this who, in this instance, but I mean, the incident at the mall, his daddy really not, kind of jerking that knot in his ass, saying, hey, you can't do this type of stuff. We talked about last week about the Brandon Miller situation, how, his presence kind of led to that young lady's death in a sense, allegedly. But difference when we talk about that is like, Brandon Miller didn't know what his teammate was going to do. And he wasn't there what led up to the altercation to what Darius Miles, shooting at folks. Now, did he transport the weapon to him? Yeah. Did he know he was going to do all that? Probably not. We'll just wait and see. But in Ja Morant's case, he's brandishing guns everywhere. He's gesturing on the court and all that stuff. And, I thought about this too. And Jamel Hill brought up a good point that I saw, that she made a point on Twitter. She made a decent point on Twitter. Like, it doesn't matter where Ja Morant is from or how he grew up. He's truly making catastrophic decisions. I don't agree with everything she says, but she made a good point right there. The stuff he's doing is like very catastrophic. You got the new contract, the $200 million contract. Nike kicked Kyrie to the curb. They put you in that place. Now, I'm not a big shoe person, but Kyrie sold pretty very well for Nike. The deal with Powerade, the Coca-Cola deal, in a sense. So all this stuff, coming to him, all that, and he's just doing stupid stuff. And then, about, like, Memphis is a black city and all that stuff. That young man at the finish line, we don't know who he's related to, who he hangs out with, who he's connected with within the city.
Correct.
And he could have, on that day or the day after, he could have got with his people and said, you know what, We're gonna ride on Ja. We know where he stay at. What would happen then? That's the thing. That's the thing I'm thinking about. We seen what happened with Young Dolph not too long ago. He got killed at a cookie store. So if and Young Dolph is a native um, person with Memphis.
Correct.
Mr. Morant. If they do that to one they own, what could they ain't too hard to get to you.
This is true.
And we know the NBA on these sports leagues got connections with the FBI and all that stuff and blah 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 blah. Well, they need to start getting used to that or something. Because the way he's going, I don't know. Yeah, I think this is like, if I can really think about it, this is like Adam Silver's first kind of real head case in a sense of a star athlete doing silly stuff. Some of y'all probably thinking, well, what about Kyrie? And he used to say things, and I ain't comparison. Ja doing stupid stuff. Kyrie, you can agree to disagree with what he says. Ja, he's just doing stupid stuff. Almost to the point similar to like Allen Iverson in a sense. There was like a point in AI's career that he was doing some stupid stuff. And got to the real point real bad. I don't even remember D-Lock. Him, I think his then wife at the time, he chased out the house and she was running around Philly naked. It got to that point with him. So I hope Ja turns it around. I hope he cools it. If he's not gonna listen to his people, I don't know, maybe Memphis, I don't know who he can listen to. My guess is like maybe Zebo. Be my best bet. A guy who, got some trouble himself, but, kind of turned around, became a very beloved figure in Memphis and the NBA to a degree that, I think he'd be the perfect person to talk to. If I'm agrees, I'm bringing somebody in. He's like Zebo or maybe like Tony Allen, one of those two guys, but Zebo mainly. If I had to bring somebody in, I bring Zebo in. Hey, Zach, can you do me a favor? Talk to this dude for me. Because Memphis could do something. Memphis is, despite Ja's issues, they still top 2 in the West. That's what makes everything so crazy, D-Lock, is like they still top 2 in the West.
Yep. Super talented.
And, if you're, Memphis management, it's like, damn, if only he can, stop doing the silly stuff, we can make a run. They got the Clippers tonight. The Clippers, ever since they got Russ, kind of been on the slide, which I don't think it's Russ's fault. I think Ty Lue, I don't know what the hell he's been doing, his substitutions and stuff like that. But they got Clippers tonight. And then I think the next game after that, on Tuesday, they got the Lakers. Which y'all gonna miss those 2 games. So it's not good for him to miss 2 games against 2 LA teams like this. It's not a good look. I'm trying to see where else. And after that, they go back home to play the Warriors. So, 3 games right there that your star players, potentially be out for. You still trying to keep up with pace with the Nuggets.
Right.
Sacramento is knocking on your doorstep with only 2 losses behind them. Phoenix got Durant back in the fold. A lot of things have changed here for this coming week.
But yeah, and with that being said, it just seems like clearly he is the guy on that team. I think they just lost Brandon Clark.
Yeah.
Dylan Brooks in some trouble. Technical fouls. Not every 2 technical fouls he get, I believe he gets suspended. So it's like it's kind of Memphis had a lot of issues going on right now, and it seems like not sure how long, but hearing that Ja Morant might be away from Memphis with not sure on his return. So now there's more information. Now they can't tell you. At first, we hear that it's going to be 2 games. Now it's kind of like, well, hell, could it be more? So for me, he has to get, like I said, right now, being the athlete that he is, having so much expectations of what he can do, he has to tighten up with a lot of these things, man. At the end of the day, he's making a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah.
Memphis looked like one of the up-and-coming teams. We talked about it even last year. Looked like a team that's going to be somebody to deal with for a long time. He's going to be one of the stars in the NBA, I'm sure, for a long time. This off-the-court stuff is stuff just he needs to fix. And like I said, a friend of mine had asked me, I don't get what he's thinking. And I'm like, well, I don't either, but I understand that he is, like I said earlier, he's around that age where leadership is needed. As much as we think, okay, boom, you're 18, you're on your own, you're supposed to be able to do what the hell you're supposed to do, X, Y, and Z. Some people are raised in different areas. They, mature at a different age, mature in different ways. But for me, I think that clearly him acting like this, for doing those different things that he's doing, it's kind of like you need somebody to tell you, nah, bro, like you can't do this, or this is not helping, your situation. Because at the end of the day, in 10 years, he's gonna look back at what the hell just happened and be like, I should have did that shit. Now granted, right now, let's say the minimum is he just gets suspended for 2 games. He's away from the team for a couple of games. Somewhat, that's basically a slap on the wrist at this point, for doing something so detrimental. So I think that it is much more wiser for him to, like I said, get the right people around him, make wiser decisions. And because, again, these decisions that you make, they can change not only your life, but your dad's life, your mother's life, your little sister's life who is playing basketball right now. So all these people that somewhat look up to him, this can definitely change their lives by decisions that he makes. So, and that's the biggest thing, we want. And I always say now, when it comes to talking to my athletes or just adults around that age, like, these decisions that you make, it just don't affect you. They're going to affect others around you, the people that care about you. So, and that's just like the main thing that, needs to be known and thought about is how is it affecting your life and others. They say he in a situation where he can get general wealth. You know, his kids will be fine if he does this correctly. But you can mess that up just by one decision. You know, so trying to be cool or trying to flex, as we say. Um, so, like I said, the best situation is to be smart about, you know, who you're around and the things that you do, because showing somebody that you have a gun is the clear way that you want to make sure you don't. Now you really can't get into it with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you get into it with anybody, they know what you have. Man, that doesn't. It's not a good thing. So, again, like I said, hopefully this is a learned lesson from him, because it's crazy just because we just hear about him, you know, get into it with a 17-year-old. The whole situation against the Pacers, like, I'm like, damn, like, you just doing all this shit, just put it all together. Like, you gotta start thinking about some of this stuff that you're doing. So hopefully, he takes this time to actually think about some of these decisions, because it's definitely not good to. You don't want to be that person that something happens, you're like, damn, well, I wish I should have, could have, would have. No, that's definitely something you don't want to do.
Yeah, like we alluded to, like playing the Clippers. Like I said, the Clippers have been on a slide, and that's a team in a 7-game series that I don't want to see. I don't want to see Kawhi Leonard, Paul George in a 7-game series, and a motivated Russell Westbrook and Terrence Mann who could kill you in a game, in a pivotal game, as we saw a couple years ago. I don't want to be matched up with that. I don't want to see maybe the Lakers, if they make a run and LeBron come back healthy and rested, and Anthony Davis playing out of his mind. I don't want to see that if I'm about 7th seed. So I'm trying to. I don't understand. We talk like we're 10 years older than Ja. We talk about 2 different generations. He listened to all these dudes that, the baby, those type of artists. Listen to them, all that stuff. And I don't know, trying to imitate them, or he's trying to prove something. I don't know what he's trying to prove. Like with Gilbert Arenas years ago. Like, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to prove? Trying to get one over Javaris Crittenden? For what?
I mean, again, like I said, I think that hopefully it's a lesson learned, because trust me, there's decisions that Henry Ruggs is looking at this decision that he made, like, damn, I wish I should have, could have, would have.
Yep.
So there's plenty of other decisions that we can talk. That's just an example. So let's hopefully be wise about some of these decisions moving forward. I ain't saying you just got to not do anything as far as life. Like, yeah, of course you can have fun and stuff like that, but some things you're gonna need to really be doing. Kind of just like you said, you got all these teams that, hell, the Suns look amazing today. Hell, Dallas didn't really look bad today. So the West is kind of packed. I mean, why don't you just kind of, focus in on a little bit on that? Well, you do that, then you'll be in a better place rather than trying to show off or flex by having a gun and stuff like that.
Yeah, and not only that, like, we'll move on here. Like, I don't want look up next week or so that he gets into it with somebody down in damn Tunica or something like that. You know, I don't want to see he and his people. They down in Tunica, and for y'all that don't know, that's Tunica, Mississippi, where casinos and stuff like that, all that happens. You know, not too far from Memphis. But I don't want to see nothing like that coming up. I don't want to see him being somewhere in West Memphis doing whatever, getting an altercation with somebody. So, it's just kind of like we've been talking about here the past couple months. It's like some of the athletes, like dumb decisions. What you doing? From the Darius Miles case to this situation with Ja Morant, dumbest decisions can impact your life and your career. Like for Darius Miles, for example, I'm not saying he'd be an NBA player, but I mean, if you finish your career at Alabama, you know, play well, do well in the pre-draft stuff, don't get drafted, okay, you can make a good career overseas. You know, play in Japan, play somewhere in Greece, you know, in the league in Italy or something like that. I don't know. But now you're going to do possibly a life sentence in Tuscaloosa County Jail. And as a person living in Alabama, the jails ain't freaking pretty at all. But, like I said, choices got consequences. And lucky for us, D-Log, we had not reported that Ja has a shot or any of these people shot anybody. But it's kind of teetering close if the NBA didn't do anything. It's kind of teetering close that didn't happen. And one of these days, if he continually done, he's going to run to the wrong person. And they don't give a damn who he is. I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you know, you want to be. I was telling one of my best friends today, I was like, man, I want to talk to you when I'm 80, 90, you know, just talking about life and the things that we experience. But I also want to be a free man doing that.
Yep.
You know, I want to be like, you know, I want to experience life. I want to be able to do these things. So that means that I say that by the decisions that I make now is going to impact that. You know, I want to be able to experience those different things. We see, you know, the older people that live and experience different things in life. But we all want to get there.
Yeah.
That means also with that, it is the decisions that we make. Like I said, you don't have to be this perfect person that doesn't do anything. But, you know, these little decisions, I mean, I understand that it's big because he's a star basketball player. You know, everybody knows him. You know, Memphis is one of the better teams in the NBA in the West. But these kind of decisions that he's making, like, these are life-threatening decisions he's making. You know, this is the reason why it's not that much comparison to the Kyrie situation. Like, you talk about somebody that's walking around pointing a gun at people or showing that he has a gun. Like, that is no laughing matter. That is nothing to joke about. You know, like you said, you get into it with a 17-year-old and you show your gun, like, who's to say that this 17-year-old may not know, you know, many people in Memphis? You know, so it's just that some of these decisions, you know, and as they say, the higher that you get, the more haters come, the more people want to see you fail. So that's gonna come. Those things are gonna happen. Like, you're gonna have people that don't want to see you successful, and they will do anything to bring you down. So don't give them ammo. You know, don't give them more ammo because you being hell successful as you are, you know, people are gonna wish they were there.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you're, you know, bring yourself somewhat to their level. Again, you said it is people that don't really care
Yep.
that you are, you know, this basketball player. that play for Memphis and can do all this other stuff and making all this money. They can care less about all that. So it's just like I said, some of the decisions that need to be made. A mentor needs to be there, big time. That's why, like I said, for me, definitely appreciate my dad being in my life for so long, because those ages where I could have made, a lot of bad decisions, I think they were minimized just because he was there for me. Um, and I'm pretty sure that that's for many people. But now, John's in a situation where he's around that age where he can make all these decisions. And on top of that, he can damn near buy anything he wants. He can damn near do anything he wants. The world is his in a sense. So, and we see it with many athletes, specifically college athletes as well. College football players who feel like the world doesn't revolve, like they can just do whatever the hell they want, and no law can stop them. And that is something that I have to realize that yes, there is life. We do have rules that we got to follow. There are things that we have to do. And on top of that, there are some crazy people out here. There are people that, live these lives that you flex on or you actively talk about. Some people do actually live those lives. So, hopefully, like I said, he gets around the right people that kind of mentor him a little bit to get him on the right path, because right now, the NBA, Memphis suspending him for a couple games, doing their investigation. There's a lot that go on when they investigate that, So now, the whole gun thing, they're probably investigating everything that he does now. Okay, by his driver's license, about how much he drinks, different things they're probably investigating now, just because of him showing it. So, it's gonna play a huge part into him. Hopefully, like I said, he learns from this, and just can get back to playing basketball, man.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. You got kids that's 10, 11, 12, 13 that's looking at him as an athlete.
Yeah, that's the thing, yep.
So you know what I'm saying? Like, you're doing all this stuff. Like, we know, think about it. We see it through iPhones and different sports. The generation continues to evolve. But in order for that to happen, it's our job to continue to make it evolve. The next generation got to make the next generation better. So you got kids looking up to them. And some things you cannot do. I remember my dad told me one time, whether or not somebody's looking up to you. My brother was born, he said, whether or not he looks up to you, whether you like it or not, whether you planned it, your brother looks up to everything that you do. So whether it's good or bad, he's looking up to you. And it's true. So John has to understand that, you may have not said when you went to the NBA, I want to be a person that inspires everybody. Well, hell, that's just your job. You get drafted, you go to the NBA, you're doing all these dunks, and you're making a big of an impact in the league that you are. You have kids that will look up to you. You have to accept that. No matter what, that's going to happen. So, like I said, hopefully that is something that he thinks about, and it helps him move forward with a lot of his decisions. Because he's a hell of a player. We see it, and we love to see it. As fans, we love to see it. But, let's kind of be mindful, because at the end of the day, your life goes on after basketball. You got to live after basketball.
Yeah, and shout out to the chat real quick. Shout out to Terry Rodriguez. Thank you for tuning in with us, sir. I know you're watching the volleyball, so you're good to go, sir. You're good. Marcus Los, great in the chat. Salute to you, sir, as well. Marcus saying, Ja thinks he's Bishop from Juice. And we know how that turned out for Bishop.
Yeah.
So, Marcus saying, like you said, shift this focus playing basketball for the Memphis Grizzlies.
Got to be big if we do that. Because right now, I don't know, man. They got to figure stuff out. You got Dylan Brooks over there acting a fool, getting technical fouls, man.
And then each technical,
up over there, man.
And then you still go foul that Dylan Brooks gets, he gets suspended.
Right.
So, like, I forgot the Memphis coach's name, but you can pray and hope that he can, reel this in. But that may be like a tough ass for Taylor Jenkins. So
yeah, I mean, this is where we see some. These kind of decisions. This is what get coaches fired, man. Like, your team could be really good, but if you are off the court and your team is doing shit that just doesn't like make huge impact moving forward, like, you can get let go of some of this stuff, man. So they gotta, watch some of these decisions, man. You gotta be wise. I mean, yes, you're a coach, but I hear all the time. Many people have heard it. You've heard a lot of times. The coaches talk in interviews when they get a job. They say, "Hey, I am a coach, but I'm a bigger mentor. I'm a bigger leader." Like, that's part of his job. You gotta be able to lead. You gotta mentor some of these athletes because that's just what you gotta do. We love what type of athlete they are, but they're not just You hear you hear many players even say, or athletes, he was a great coach, but also a good father figure. Or she was a great coach, but also a good mother figure. Like, those are the things that is big, and that makes a coach even better. So, with all these things, you got to make sure that you kind of fix some of this stuff, man, because it doesn't look good on the coaching staff.
So we'll leave it on that note, and we'll see what's going to happen with Ja moving forward. D-Lock, the Lakers played today, and they won against the Golden State Warriors, 113-105. Real quick, Anthony Davis had a monster day, 39 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Really take advantage of the shortcomings of the Warriors down low. Should have kept Wiseman. But anyways, he got 39 points. Jared Vanderbilt, like I've been saying this, has fit like a glove with the Lakers. 10 points for him, 13 rebounds, very versatile. I just love the fit with him, the Lakers. I don't know why he played only 24 minutes, but he should be getting more time than that. For the Warriors, Steph Curry has came back in this game, but only got 27 points, 22 points for Klay Thompson. Draymond Green, 15 points, 8 rebounds, even though he left the game for a little bit due to injury. LeBron is out for several weeks. I saw a video of him the other day at his son's high school playoff game, which I think they won. He's in a boot. He came into the arena, Staples Center. I'm sorry, Crypto, wherever they call now. With the wheelchair thing. I don't know if you saw this video I sent you on Instagram by Kevin Garnett's conspiracy theory. Have you checked that out yet?
Yeah, I seen some of it. I actually didn't listen to the whole thing.
He had a conspiracy talking to Paul Pierce, saying the reason why LeBron went out like this is because they want to test Anthony Davis to see if he can be that dude. And if Anthony Davis can't, muster this team to like a playoff spot until he gets back, they may cut bait with him in the summer. I hear that. I was like, I don't know.
I definitely don't agree with that. I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that, but we'll see. But having said all that, even take what Kevin Garnett away, do you see the Lakers making a push on where they're currently slated at in the standings at At number 11, right behind the Pelicans, who kind of just took a nosedive since Zion been out. Can they make a push to the playoff position with LeBron out?
Well, they got Memphis coming up Tuesday.
Yeah.
Toronto. After that, hot streaking Knicks, who are actually losing right now to Boston. Then they got the Pelicans. If Anthony Davis can stay healthy and play like this, they can. But the main question is, can Anthony Davis stay healthy? He shows what kind of a player he can be, and he shows it in spurts. What I mean is, he played like this today. We won't see him play like this again until 2 or 3 weeks. Now, if he can hold this energy without LeBron being there, I think we could be seeing something. We can be seeing a hell of a run with Anthony Davis, because remember at the beginning of the season before he got hurt, he was on a tear then.
Yes.
So I still think that he could be that guy. It just now he has to be consistent with it. Now, depending on how long, I'm not sure if you know when D'Angelo Russell is going to come back.
Yeah, that's another key piece there.
Right. He's going to be a key piece that, if you can get him back sooner rather than later, then they have a better chance to keep things moving without LeBron. But the trade pieces that they made, I think they're doing great for him. I think Jared Vanderbilt's playing very, very well. Malik Beasley, I think he needs to shoot just a tad better.
Yeah.
I think that if he can shoot better and he gets, start getting his shot, I think that they'll be able to hold. I think Anthony Davis and his team will be able to hold the fort down until LeBron comes back. And if they, like I said, if they can do that, they'll be fine. But the biggest thing is Anthony Davis has to be consistent. He continues to do this, he'll be fine. But how often, do we see him stay on this range? And even when he does, sometimes he is hurt for a while. So hopefully he can stick to this, which I believe he will, and they'll be fine. I mean, they're gonna have to play Dallas, Phoenix, soon. But this team is gonna have to run through Anthony Davis. And to be honest with you, I think it needs to be the same way when LeBron comes back. That's the problem. LeBron comes back, and it's like Anthony Davis starts to take days off. So I'm not saying that he needs to lead the team in points, board, and assists, but if he can bring the same energy when LeBron is on the court with the unit that they have now, this team is one of the better teams in the West. But to answer the question, I think they will make a push, but they're going to have a tough games like Memphis coming up, even without Ja. New York is going to be pretty tough. Dallas is going to be one of those teams. Phoenix, obviously. They can get things moving with those. I definitely think they can make a push. But clearly, if they do, they're trying to make sure they're healthy, or LeBron is healthy going into the playoffs. But even if, I don't think they move off of Anthony Davis. I just don't. They're not making all them damn trades to move off of him this season. I think they're kind of preparing with this trade, preparing to have a team without LeBron at some point. And obviously, I think AD is part of that.
I think they'd be fine. I think if they had D'Angelo Russell in the lineup without the injury and all that stuff, I think they'd be straight. If LeBron was out, okay, I got D'Angelo Russell here to compensate for a little bit. To go along with Anthony Davis, I think I'd be fine. Along with the other guys, with Beasley, Vanderbilt, Schroeder, I think I'll be okay if D'Angelo Russell is still healthy. Like you alluded to by Malik Beasley, he's got to shoot a little bit better. If I was him, like I said, he needs to be shooting better. If not, hell, maybe have to throw in Austin Reeves in that lineup and see what he could be on a consistent basis. Maybe Lonnie Walker, the kid Devin Reed. I don't want to say kid, but Devin Reed. See what he can bring. Devion Reed. See if we can bring to the table. Obama went out with the injury, so you can't get a good evaluation out of him. Huchamara, he has his moments. He took a very bad shot in the second quarter. Like Lakers on I don't want to say fast break, but he just took a bad 3-pointer off of a fast break, and it's like, dude, that's not your game at all. So if they minimize stuff like that, bad shots like that, feed it and take advantage of your matchups. Like Anthony Davis dominating down low against it's the Warriors. You should do that 10 times out of 10. And then you play the Grizzlies tomorrow. Okay, Ja Morant's gonna be out. Gotta take advantage. Those backup guards. Schroeder, Beasley. Lonnie Walker. You gotta take advantage of those guys. Steven Adams still not playing. Take advantage of that post down there. Get Jaren Jackson in foul trouble. Kind of looking ahead a little bit. To play the Raptors, same thing. Get those guys in foul trouble. Take advantage of their guard situation because they don't got no quality guards there. And you sent me something and some breaking news that Ja Morant will be away from the Grizzlies indefinitely. There's no timetable for his return. Wonderful. Well, that sucks for Memphis.
Yeah.
So, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Go for 2 games, and then now we kind of speculate, maybe he could miss more. Now, he's going to be gone for how long? That's the thing. How long are you going to be out?
Yep. I mean, how many games is left? Maybe. This is kind of rubbing off of what we just were talking about, but it's just breaking news come out. You don't ever want to hear anything that has no timetable is not a good thing.
Yep.
It's definitely not a good thing. I mean, you're looking at about between 20-some games left, 25.
Yep.
You got the Clippers coming up, the Lakers, Golden State, Dallas, back-to-back. Like, it doesn't help anything, man.
It don't help anything. You ever star player Jaren Jackson? At times he can't stay healthy. Dylan Brooks, like I said, he's on technical foul watch. So it's not good for the Grizzlies right now. So we'll see how this shakes out for the Grizzlies and stuff like that. Wow, this is very shocking.
Yep. That's a tough one right there, man.
To transition to college basketball real quick, we got conference tournaments starting up this week. Going through the scores today for the last game of the season. Memphis win a big game against Houston wins big game against Memphis, 67-65. I think Houston would be one of the 1 seeds come NCAA tournament. Come next week, we talk about the NCAA tournament along with Alabama. And then the other two get kind of tricky. With Kansas, And that 4 spot's up in the air. You got UCLA, who've been playing very well this year. Purdue, who had some kind of, I don't say bad losses, but kind of losses that I don't know if the committee will drop it down a notch or not. They could still put in a number 1 seed, who knows. Marquette, Shaka Smart, best move for him was getting away from Texas and going to like a step below at Marquette. 23-6, perfect place for him, and to kind of flourish, not have like a lot of pressure there. Baylor, they taking some bad losses. I don't see them as a number 1 seed anymore. I think they'll drop it down a peg. So that's who I look at the number 1 seeds there. D-Lock, look at the college basketball landscape. Who needs a good week to kind of make an NCAA tournament bid? If you're looking at the scope of college basketball, I can say Baylor in a sense because you took some bad losses and you're trying to get the highest seed possible. You can play better than what you have played here lately. Or I can look on the other side of things and look at North Carolina, a team I had to kind of make the championship game again and win it with everybody coming back. Who in your eyes needs to have a good week to kind of make an NCAA tournament bid?
The biggest thing for me was North Carolina. The reason why is because I'm looking at some of the losses that they had, having them big losses to Duke, and those ranked teams that they're losing to, those are not Miami, North Carolina State. Those are games that are going to hurt, So if they can have one of the better weeks, and obviously another reason why is because we know what the ACC is. We know the ACC is definitely loaded with teams that can make a big difference in the bracket. So for me, and I kind of was looking at Baylor as well. But it's just that, going down, doing research, looking at North Carolina's schedule, it's just like, damn, some of these losses are some big losses that make a big impact. Hell, even starting early. So, now they, did get up, go on a little win streak, but those, like I said, it seemed like that rivalry with Duke is one that they lost this year so far. But they need to have a hell of a week coming up. If they can do that, that'll definitely make a big difference for them.
For me, I look at it like it this way. I mentioned North Carolina. I think the committee will squeeze them in, but they gotta have a strong week, to kind of solidify themselves in the tournament. They have to. I also look around. Let's see, pulling up. Michigan. They're 17-14 right now. 11-9 in conference play at the end of this year. They've lost the overtime to Indiana today. That if they won that game, it could have pushed them up to second in the Big Ten tournament. Like, besides Purdue's on an island on itself. But for Indiana, Northwestern, Michigan State, Iowa, Maryland, Illinois, Michigan, Rutgers, They're like a game between each other. That's crazy. And Purdue winning, I mean, not Purdue, Indiana winning puts them at number 2 in the Big Ten tournament. And the reason why I single out Michigan, because I think Maryland would get in at large bid, Northwestern. You know, I think they'll squeeze in Michigan State and Iowa. Illinois is a tops up. But Michigan, we talked about Juwan Howard before and stuff like that. It's like last year I was one of those people that they shouldn't got in. They proved me wrong getting to the Sweet 16. This year, I think they came in with a better team, but they really been very up and down, more down this year than last. And now, you lose this game, now you kind of drop it down, in seeding wise in the Big Ten tournament. And let me try and pull that up. Come on. Pull it up. And I'm going to bracket out. So I'm looking at the bracket right now. Michigan is the 5 seed. They play the winner of Ohio State, Wisconsin. If they won against Indiana, they'd got another bye D-lock for March the 10th. And they will wait to play the winner of Penn State and Illinois. And Penn State been kind of sneaky good this year. A team you kind of want to, they're 19-12, but a team you kind of want to play, they'll beat you. So, for me, Michigan, they got to have a strong week if they want to make the NCAA tournament. They got damn near got to get to the championship game to kind of be considered for an at-large bid. Even then, that's a toss-up in my eyes. Looking elsewhere, if I'm looking elsewhere. I think, Oregon, Arizona State, they got to have strong weeks if they're going to consider an at-large bid. If not, the Pac-12 is looking like a 3-team bid going to the NCAA tournament. UCLA, Arizona, and USC. So both of those schools got to have a strong run going to the tournament. Look at the SEC side of things real quick. Auburn and Vanderbilt. One of those schools one of those two teams got to make a run to be considered. I think more of Auburn because they kind of closer there than Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt, for them, they get the winner either Georgia or LSU. For Auburn, on Thursday, March 9th, they get the draw playing Arkansas in that first game. and that ain't gonna be no cakewalk there. And, and Arkansas too, they kind of need, go a little streak on their own. But I think you look at that game, if one of those two teams lose, then you look at maybe NIT bound. And you were not saying about that for either one of these teams at the beginning of the season, especially Arkansas. They're a top 10 team coming to the year. Now you look at towards the end of the season, Texas A&M built off that momentum from last year that should have got in the tournament, turn around to this year. Now that the second seed in the SEC tournament. Granted, they should learn how to build a better non-conference schedule. But anyways, you there. Kentucky, middle of the road, but they're the third seed. Mizzou, Dennis Gates. I want to shout out Dennis Gates. He's been awesome at Mizzou this year. Has really taken that team that Conzo built and really kind of took it a step further. So shout out to him. And of course, you got Alabama. Despite the issues off the court, on the court, they got issues as well of not playing great in the first half here the past few games, and then needing overtime or last minute couple minutes to kind of get over teams. They gotta shake that up if they're gonna win a championship this season. They got the firepower, they got the star power. They gotta shake that up. So those schools there, I think, you know, the main one, North Carolina, for me, they got to really shape up to make an NCAA tournament bid. You know, and we'll just see how things else shake out. Do you have any more thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, for me, Baylor did go on that run where it's like, damn, like, a couple of these wins you were supposed to have. So I think that it's a couple of teams in there that are gonna need to make those pushes this week. But like I said, looking at the expectation that we have from a North Carolina, from a Michigan, these are the teams that we usually see that we don't even talk about them being on the bubble. These are the teams that we usually see that are already in. So and going back looking at these games, like they're gonna have to make a strong push in the conference tournament. So it's at some point you remember back when probably not that long ago, ACC was just the conference that had all the best teams, and other teams were just other conferences had maybe one or two good teams. Well, hell, that's not the same now. All these conferences have some really talented teams.
Yeah.
SEC has a hell of a lot of teams over there that can make a push in the tournament as well now. Big 12, Pac-12, they're all loaded. So now to get in the tournament basically means it's just a hell of a lot tougher. But this is why we love it. I said it last year. This is why we love basketball, and you're looking at college football doing the same thing in their tournament. Putting more teams in, giving them opportunities. Because once you get in the tournament, you get one chance. But you got to get on that roll to get in and have that chemistry rolling. And hopefully, like I said, Baylor, Michigan, North Carolina can get on that roll and prove their case. But I definitely think North Carolina is, like I said, for me, the team that has to make that move.
So, I think this is why one of the better weeks, if you're a sports fan, conference tournament week, because it leads to the NCAA tournament. But conference, championship week is very fun. Very, very fun. You got all these conferences playing all this stuff, different times, all that stuff. Hell, I'm off Tuesday, but the next time I'm off is like Friday. So, and Alabama gets to play on Friday. So, hell, I might make a surprise trip up to Nashville to watch Alabama play. I don't know. We'll see. But this is like one of the better times of the year. And we'll see, what shakes out for everybody. Can UCLA come out big in the Pac-12? Who comes out of the Big Ten? Because that's very, very wide open in my eyes. The ACC. Who's going to come out on top of that? Very quiet this year for the ACC. Duke, I thought to be a little bit better, kind of quiet. You don't hear too much of them. Miami, Virginia, kind of ruined the roost there. Clemson's had a very surprise year. Shout out to Jeff Capel at Pitt. That took a program that was in the dumps and kind of really turned it around here this year. Really kind of has turned the corner with this school. So hopefully you can keep that momentum going. And then, like I said, ACC is wide open. Don't expect Louisville to win because they suck. But anyways, other than that, thank you for tuning in. Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Marcus. Yeah, Bama. Yeah, I do agree. Bama, like I alluded to not too long, You know, they've been playing bad this past few games. I know the SEC is tough, but you can't come out bad every first half like this. And you get to the NCAA tournament, you get to the Sweet 16, and whoever you match up with, they could get your ass. You know, kind of like last year with Alabama. I thought they would take advantage of Notre Dame playing that late overtime game against Rutgers last year, and Notre Dame came out and shoot the doors right out of them. So it can happen. And Brandon Miller, who I think who's more comparable to Tracy McGrady type. Everybody's saying Kevin Durant, but I think he's more like Tracy McGrady type. If he can turn to that and carry this team to the championship and use the noise that people are using against them, I think they'll do wonders for them. But we'll see how Alabama shapes up. But I do agree with you, Marcus, that they're pretty suspect going into the conference tournament and NCAA tournament right now, despite the outside noise. But this has been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us. Glad y'all tuned in tonight. D-Lock, how can people find you on social media?
You guys find me at Black-813. And the NFL Combine is going crazy. We're seeing some big news. So I'll definitely be talking about that. And the Orlando Magic. We had a tough game today with Portland. Try to make a push toward the playoffs as well. Let them know where they can find you at, man. The show's paid.
You can follow the show at Fast Break at IESR. That's Fast Break IESR. Also, do check out iSportsRadio.com for all the latest show news and feeds through the network. A lot of great shows, a lot of great people, men and women do great work behind the scenes to get prepared to do shows for y'all. Like D-Lock alluded to, the NFL Combine has come and gone. He's talking about it. All of us here at iSports Radio, we talking about it. We're talking about the Combine, talking about the draft, who's going to be doing what. Tim Rodriguez is watching NCAA men's volleyball. Following him on his page, Set Point at IESR. For all your latest volleyball news and analysis, he gets a video analysis at the end of the night about each games that goes on. Marcus, he had a show early on today. Pretty sure I didn't listen to it, but I will check it out here soon. You know, talk about the USC event, John Jones coming back, and the ladies in the boxing world. So a lot of great stuff going on in iSports Radio. Do tune in with us. Also, I got a Twitter account on my side, Spawn4288. That's Spawn4288. I do know a show side called The Crooks Process. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Do follow me on there. And then also follow me on TikTok at Spawn4288 as well. But tune in, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in with us. We'll talk to y'all next week. Hopefully nothing else bad comes out. And we're going to talk just straight basketball with y'all next week. Especially the NCAA tournament coming up. We'll be definitely talk about that. But till then, talk to y'all later. Peace.